Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first Tuesday Times Roundtable of the 2017-18 school year. If you're new to the Tuesday Times Roundtable family, please note that we do this most Tuesdays during the fall and spring. We start on the second Tuesday of the semester and run for 13 weeks. If you missed some of the flyers at the front, we do have flyers with the schedule for the entire semester, so you can know exactly what we're talking about and who you're going to be talking with in advance, and you can join us as much as you'd like for free lunch. Also, this is part of two other broader initiatives out of Global Learning. If you're not already signed up for the Global Learning Medallion, of which there's also a flyer up there for, a circular flyer, every single one of these sessions counts as a point towards earning our Global Learning Medallion Award, and there are a bunch of other great opportunities that come through the medallion as well once you sign up. So I can always chat about that later, and you can grab one of those flyers. But if you're here, you might as well be earning our award at the same time. And this is part of the New York Times Readership Program. For those of you that have been around prior to this academic year, you will recall New York Times newspapers around campus that are no longer there physically, but the access has not gone away. We have expanded access by making sure every single person in the FIU community gets to access the New York Times online every day, rather than just the number of people that were able to get a copy before they were gone. I have flyers up there about that as well. If you go to accessnyt.com, you can sign up and get your access and get the New York Times online every day. So without further ado, I'd like to do a brief introduction of today's moderator. Wendy Guess is an instructor in the Department of Marketing and Logistics here at FIU. She holds her PhD in Public Health Education and Promotion from Texas Women's University in Denton, Texas. Her area of expertise include health and fitness marketing, and she teaches courses here including health and fitness marketing and introduction to marketing, and one relevant to global learning, marketing management in the global environment. So I look forward to a great and interactive discussion. Take it away, Professor Guess.
Hello, hello. Are we on? Yay. Oh, and by the way, my health and fitness marketing class has recently received the Global Learning designation. So I'm excited about that. And what happened to our... There it is. Okay. So a fortuitous accident in the titling of this, and that you're eating, decided to call it Me, My Gut, and I. We've heard the saying me, myself, and I, but this is me, my gut, and I. There's a lot of talk out there that today you'll see it just about everywhere you go, and including some of the articles that we're highlighting today in the New York Times, talking about gut health. What are we putting in our gut? So we're going to look at that and make a curious case of digesting healthy change. So have you seen these guys? I know, maybe not be the most appetizing thing while you're eating. You know what they are? Well, besides cartoons. What? Bacteria. Yes, we like to call them germs, but actually these are the bacteria that live in our gut and all over our body. Some of them are actually very beneficial. Some of them aren't. Depending on where we go, we may have different collection of these bacteria. We're going to focus today on the ones that hang out in our gut. The microbes. All right, so we have a little thing going on here. We've got the mystery of the vanishing microbiomes. And you're like, what is a microbiome? Well, those are all those little critters that hang out in our gut area. And we're finding that throughout the world, we all have a different collection of these microbiomes. You'll find cultures and the very remote cultures that have one mix, and then where we are here in the, how should we say, developed world or differently developed world, we have another mix. It's almost as unique as your DNA. Pretty cool, right? Just say yes. Yes, it's really cool. Okay. So what happened to these? We're finding out that they're missing. What happened and where did they go? We're going to go on a little mystery and put on our little detective hats, like I used to say to my little kids. We're going to put on our detective hats and figure out what's going on with those. First stage of any good sleuth gathering is to get some clues. Gather some clues. Figure out what are they, get the background information. Or as I say in my research class, gathering the background data, right? So we're going to figure out what is it about, who am I, what is the me, my gut, and I thing all about? Because before we can make some hypotheses, we need to understand what we're dealing with. Agreed? Good deal. I know, just while you're chewing. Chew on that, right? Okay, so let's first look at the me. And this is how, just for the record, this is how I'm interpreting the me, my gut, and I. Right? You all may have different interpretations, but this is just how I'm interpreting it. So the me is like the physical me. My body, my arms, legs, all of those different things. Also included is my ego, which may or may not be our best friend sometimes. But the how we think about ourselves, what we think about ourselves. Okay? So that's the me. Then we have the gut, or my gut, your gut, whoever's gut. We have the digestion system. All right? And so that's housed in the whole gut. You can say from the mouth where we start chewing, that starts our digestion process all the way down to, yes, the elimination aspect of the digestive process. And all the tubes in between, the small intestines, large intestines, stomach, pancreas, liver, all the way down. So along also in the gut, which we may or may not know, is where a lot of our immune system components are. So immune system and digestive system. Connection? On purpose? Maybe. And then, of course, the waste management system. I know, it's a horrible topic to be talking about while you're eating. So we'll bypass that very quickly. But just so you know, we've got those two, really the two main systems, digestion, in the immune system. Okay? And then we move over to the I. And this is the part of us that I like to equate with like our life, our values. Who are we? What are we about? What do we do because of who we are? What are our dreams and aspirations? And even to an extent, what is our intuition? Like, you know that little feeling you get when you just know you're supposed to call someone and then you call them and they're like, oh my gosh, I was thinking about you. I was just about to call you. Have you had that happen? Yeah, so that's a form of our intuition. And you know, we call it different things. Maybe it's being connected or just in tune, or you know, you're like on the same vibration or same vibe, something like that. So it's that piece of us that is intuitively connected to our surroundings, and that then correlates to our value system. You know, you all as younger people, students of learning, has no age. We should be lifelong learners. And as we learn more and more, we begin to separate, if you will, the value system of our parents or those that influenced us, and then we hopefully find and discover and create our own value system. And a lot of what you're learning here at FIU is not just about subjects and future careers, but also how your opinions as adults, what you value, who you value, will you do this or do that? all those things, because of what you're learning, become part of your own personal value system. And then, of course, our dreams, which another way of saying our dreams, are not necessarily the kind you have at night while you're sleeping, but your goals and aspirations, the things you want to accomplish in life. You know, obviously you're here not only just to learn, but hopefully to get a decent job afterwards that's hopefully related to something you're learning about here at school. And so it's like, after that, where do you want to be? What are your dreams? Where do you want life to take you? Right? So that's what I equate with the I. Okay? So we have the me, myself, or my gut, and I. So now that we've gathered a few clues, let's see what the connections are as we're continuing our clue gathering. So Hippocrates, a lot of people associate him with the sayings about let food be thy medicine, medicine be thy food, and also may have said all diseases begin in the gut. So what did we just learn? What else is in the gut? Those bacteria guys. Yeah, gals, whatever, critters. Intuition. And what system is also in our guts? Our immune system. So doesn't that make sense now? Do you see the connection? Our immune system is what helps us ward off disease and infection. And if that's also in the gut, along with our digestive process and along with all those microbiomes, then what inferences could we make? Yeah, I know. I'm asking you to think at lunchtime, right? Come on, get some logic going here. What? Disease as connected to emotions? Ooh, good one. Yeah. What else could we infer about our immune system, our microbes in our gut, and the digestion? You heard the phrase, you are what you eat? Or you just going to say that? Yeah. So another way of saying that is life and death begin in the gut. Food for thought, pun intended. Right? And then, so we know from science a huge proportion of our immune system is actually in your GI tract, or your gastrointestinal tract, another fancy way of saying your gut. Okay. So that's getting kind of interesting. Now, here's something I'd like you to think about. Over the years, you've probably heard and maybe said some phrases or sayings that might have to do with your gut. Can you think of any? What? What? Louder. A gut feeling. Yeah, so what is that, like an instinct? Intuition? What else? I know you've heard some. What? Danielle, I'm going to pick on you. What's another one? No, I'm just she works in her office, so I can pick on her. So can you think of another ones? Maybe some of the little kids say in the playground. There you go. I hate your guts. Like, I don't even know your guts. How do I know? Right? What are some others that might be out there? When you've had a really, really just tough experience. What? Yeah, it does kind of like just, It does. It kind of like literally hits you in the gut, even though it is maybe emotional. You want to see some other sayings? Because, you know, you're so talkative here. Okay, here's some. Can you all see those? Here's a gut feeling, like you were saying. A gut reaction. Blood and guts. Bust a gut. Gut check, gut factor, gut feeling, gut instinct again. gut reaction. Oh, that's up there twice. A gut reaction to something. I know, it's like redundant. Okay, let's look at some more. That, like you were talking about, the gut wrenching, the gut wrenching experience. Oh, you just like feel twisted. Have you ever felt like butterflies in your stomach? Like, are there really butterflies in there? Or what do you think's in there making that feeling? Oh, anxiety. Yeah, probably more emotions. Okay, so let's look at, and there you go. You said, like, hate someone's guts. Have the guts to do it, which kind of infers like courage, right? Let's see. My gut tells me no guts, no glory. So kind of back to courage a little bit. And that's a rather literal one, sorry. Puke one's guts out. Spill your guts. Now, are we really talking about actually spilling out what's in your gut? Or what are we talking about there? Like, yeah, like talking about your emotions, which, where are they? Hanging out? Hello, yeah. And then, of course, yell one's guts out, like that must be like extra mad. Not just mad, but extra mad, okay? So we have all of these sayings that now are connected to our gut. Have you ever thought about those before? Why do we have sayings that have to do with our gut? These have been around long before we knew about the immune system and the digestion and the microbes. So where did those sayings come from? There's no right or wrong here. I mean, just speculation, right? We're still clue gathering. And clue gathering, right. So what do you think? Where could they have come from? There was a lot of, probably a lot more emotional intelligence or emotional wisdom we had over the years than we really truly understand. So all of these references to our gut really have to do with that emotional connection, maybe. Let's see what else. Now that we've kind of covered a few areas of what the me, myself, and I is about and the guts, now we're ready to start looking at the issue with the microbes. So the researchers tell us that some of the breeds or brands, or I'm not sure what you call them, not brands, but some of these little critters are going extinct. How is that happening? Like we have actually, I can't remember quite the right number, but it's trillions of these little microbes hanging around our bodies. Like there's more of these than there are of cells in our body. So we're actually more bacterial than we are human. But we've got some species that are dying out. So why do you suppose that is?
Diet's changed.
Diet changed? Yeah. Ooh, you guys are smart. Increase in processed foods. Yeah. Different things happening there. Here's some things that we're learning. When we go and visit like more remote villages and tribes and cultures that are not, that are kind of like more the same as they have been for thousands of years, we find that if we test their whole gut flora balance, they have 50% more variety in the little critters than we do as average Americans. So how did that happen? Well, just like you said, changes in diet, changes in stress, different ways of dealing with emotions. Here are some theories. We've got some researchers are saying that it's due to antibiotics. That when we take the antibiotics, they kill out everything, all the good and the bad bacteria. And their theory is that it's harder for the body to replenish on its own, so some of the species don't come back. Then we also have, like, we wash our hands a lot with what kind of soap? antibacterial soap. We are like germophobics today, not necessarily in a bad way, no judgment call. We're very aware of germs and the germ spreading function. So by using all the antibacterial soaps, we're also removing some of the species that hang out on the outside of our bodies. Again, these are theories. Also, there's an interesting theory about some of the water we drink. Like tribes and villages like this one, the Yanamanis, they, I believe, are in a remote area of Peru. Venezuela. Excuse me. Thank you. In South America. And the other thing they notice is they don't have any, they just drink the water that they have. So on the one hand, not having filtered water, it doesn't, prevent the spreading of germs. But on the other hand, in this particular article that was discussed, the regular water also allows us to come in contact with more of the bacteria that informs our immune system what is and what isn't good bacteria, which then makes our immune system smarter, right? Or able to impact that. Make sense? Interesting connections, yeah? I think it's fascinating. Not that I like to study all these little critters, but I just think it's very fascinating to understand like this whole ecosystem we have inside and outside of our bodies and how that may be impacting us more than we realize. The last category or theory is dietary. And like you all were saying, changes in diets and eating more processed food. When we're eating processed food, what's happening? Just on a basic level. Well, let me rephrase that question. Live food, plant food, what's on those plants? What's in the soil around those plants? Well, hopefully before the chemicals. Naturally occurring, what would be around those plants and on those plants? More of those lovely little critters, right? So the beneficial ones, when we eat plant foods and more food from nature, we're now getting access to more of those varieties of species. Some of them are not so good, but most of them actually are beneficial or complementary. Now what happens, and I know you're probably thinking this, well, like what about like some of the issues we go when we like go to a different country? Don't drink the water, don't eat this, don't eat that, you could get this disease or that disease. We have our own, our own collection of the darling little critters. When we go to other countries, they have a different collection. So it takes sometimes a while for our immune system to get caught up. And that's why we have reactions and diseases when we travel sometimes. Or like the thing with E. coli and this and that. It takes a little while for our immune system to get caught up on what are the beneficial ones and what aren't, okay? So that's another category. Now, the big question of the day, well, can we fix this? I don't know, can we? I gave you sort of the answer, yeah. Well, since the beginning of time, we've been doing things to impact our immune system and our digestive system. So let's look at a few of these. The article that this presentation is all based on was, can I test my microbiomes or my gut balance, my gut flora? And the answer is yes, but what does it tell us? Well, right now they're in the stages where they can give you a lot of information about what species you have, but we still don't understand enough for that test to be necessarily beneficial to tell you what to do about it, right? So yeah, you can go get your it's almost like a DNA profile, but it's a microbiome profile. Interesting, right? So that we can get gut tested, see where we are, make some diet changes or something like that. We can also do something like colonics, which you may or may not have heard about. There's different words for it, several different terms for it, which is essentially cleansing out the intestinal tract. I know, again, bad subject while you're eating. But a lot of cultures, even we've traced it back to early Egyptian, like 1500 years BC, have references to seasonal and dietary and kinds of cleansing activities that they would do to keep the colon fresh, right? And then we also have, which you've probably are hearing more and more about, things like detoxing or colon cleansing in a different way. So we're now consuming certain foods to flush out the digestive tract, if you will. And those can include things like, if you see up here the category of herbs, herbs are really good for that process. Actually, did you know that the more you prepare foods with herbs, the better it helps your digestive process. So we didn't just use herbs and seasonings in food because, ooh, it looks fun or it tastes better. We actually had a medicinal therapeutic value for using those herbs. So you can see some of the herbs there. Of course, things like the probiotic yogurt. They have the active cultures in them that help replenish and rebalance what's going on in here. We have fermented foods, which is kind of regaining some interest or popularity out there. So what's a fermented food? Well, yogurt's a fermented food. You ever had pickles? Pickles are somewhat in a fermented process. Which one? Tempeh, yes. The Korean one, remember that what that's called? Kimchi, yes. All of these are fermented. Or they've been exposed through a process to the other elements in the air that start creating a breakdown process that allows us to then impact our gut flora. You can make your own fermented foods very easily by adding sugar to a substance like beets. You can put beet juice or beets in a jar and add some sugar, wait a few days, and it starts getting a little fuzzy. Certain beverages have gone through a fermentation process, which I won't mention. But have you heard of the drinks now that's like kombucha? Okay, so that's essentially, it's a fermented tea. It's gone through a few stages of that process, so now it has extra bacteria that are now beneficial for us. Then we've got, you probably are seeing this more and more in the grocery stores, pre and probiotics. So the probiotics are like things like in the yogurt, or you can go get tablets. Now, if you go to the digestion section of the grocery store, instead of seeing just things like Tums and antacids, you're seeing also now these probiotic. So we actually need our variety of darling critters to help us digest. Isn't that interesting? Then we have the fiber-rich foods, which unfortunately we forget to eat a lot of. But used to be, that's all we did have access to. Whatever, we were much more connected to fresh food, which has a lot of fiber in it. Okay? But now that we're eating less fresh food, we don't get the same amount of fiber. Okay, here's some food for thought. Now that you have some information about all these little darlings, yeah, we're going to chew on that for a while. So I just had to put this little cartoon in there. Come on, Bob, didn't you hear the CEO? We all need to embrace change. Right? So we all know change is hard, and we like what we eat. We don't want to change it. It's not so fun. But let's look at a few ways of how we might go about making some changes to rebalance and get reconnected with our little gut flora. Okay, yes. There. So the curious case of digesting healthy change. I want to propose another theory. You all have mentioned, and we talked about the idea of intuition residing around the emotions and being connected to our immune system and our digestive system. So think about this one. What if our intuition is being blocked by the kinds of food we're eating or not eating? What if we're actually making us less able to be creative and intuitive because of our diets? You all have probably experienced at some point eating a nice huge meal, maybe Thanksgiving or some other type of holiday meal. And how do you feel like afterwards? Like numb, right? We had this saying a while back when my kids were little, stuffed stupid. Like you're so full that you just feel, for lack of a better word, like just numb, right? So think about if we are constantly eating foods like that make us numb, are we open to that process of intuition? Little thought there. So then if that's the case, would we want to make any changes? Just saying, I mean, no right or wrong here. It's just a theory. If we know that, would we be more inclined to make some changes? If we want to feel more creative and intuitive, if we want to get that homework done faster, if we want to get that learning happening faster, would we want to fuel ourselves with the kinds of foods and support for our immune system that would allow that to happen? Bye. So now that we know some of that, there also is some research and suggestion that going along with the previous slide about disease begins in the gut. So what kind of diseases are in our gut? Or could be in our gut? Well, we have all kinds. We have everything from colon cancer to cancer of the liver, stomach, all over the digestive area. My father recently had a bout of cancer with his esophagus, esophageal tube. So he had a tumor growing right here where it's like where the food passes into the stomach area. So it wasn't able, the little flap wasn't able to move because the tumor was in the way. So we're having all kinds of issues and diseases related to a healthy gut or a lack of a healthy gut. Now, here's a comment. I don't know if you like to post in Twitter and whatever, record that you were here. But here's one of those moments if you'd like to. If a healthy gut is key to a healthy immune system, then healthcare and wellness have a marketing mismatch, or you could say a message mismatch. Right? So let's think about that one again. Healthy gut is key to a healthy immune system. We know there's a connection. So what are we treating a lot of times in the healthcare protocol? So I would venture to say that we have a mismatch in our messaging. And I'd like to recommend or create a few options here. Hopefully we can get that messaging rematched. All right? Now let's say we decided we like the concept of being more intuitive, more creative, more productive. We want to make some changes. Or we want to help someone else go through some of those, make some dietary or lifestyle changes. How do we inspire and influence that change so that it's successful and it's long-lasting and it's healthy? Well, of course, you can demand it. You will eat this or else. Or you can manage it and be a supporter of it. So we find in the behavior science research that there's stages that we go through coming from one spot, one frame of thinking into another frame of thinking or mindset or taking action. Like most of the change, let's say we want to switch out and add some more dietary fiber. We want to add more plant-based foods into our diet. Well, most of the change happens before, or proper change, I should say. Most of that's going to happen before we ever start eating something different. So we have to help ourselves and others go from non-compliance, like that stuff's for rabbits, and I don't eat rabbit food. That would be non-compliance, to embracing change. How do we get there? Well, let's look at some of the steps. So here's a couple of things. We've got marketing and behavior science combined together, help us go from the non-compliance, I'm not touching that rabbit food, to, okay, well, maybe more than rabbits, just eat it. Okay, so like, maybe if horses eat grass, it's not so bad. And I'm talking about grass, lawn grass, not the other kind. Just checking. All right. So part of it is developing that awareness. Well, you all have been now made aware that there's a connection between our gut flora system and our immune system and our intuition and our disease and all of that. So now that you have awareness, we have to help you, or you have to help your friends, get from being aware to being willing to write a pros and cons list where hopefully the pros are outweighing the cons. Like, well, if I do this, I could put some seasonings and spices on it, and then it doesn't taste so much like rabbit food. And there's ways. Or I could make a smoothie with it, and then I don't know what's in there that's healthy. And so, we find ways to trick ourselves, right? But the most important part of going through any kind of a behavior change is understanding the preparation piece. Because a lot of times we're just going to go, all right, I'm ready to change. I'm going to just totally become I don't want to say vegetarian because I want to make sure we are talking about plant-based foods. I'm just going to eat plants only. But we have no idea how to cook or how to prepare, how to interact with produce. So how long is that change going to last? Or maybe like one bite. Okay, I ate an apple today. Woo! Right? I'm done. But we want to make sure that we take the time to actually prepare, to go through that kind of a change. So what do we need to do to prepare? Learn. What do we want to learn about? Like, if we're going to go more plant-based, what do we need to learn about? How to prepare it. What else?
What to look for specifically.
What to look for. Yeah, like is it ripe? Is it not? Where does it grow? How does it grow? Do I want to eat plants in the season and grown locally? Do I want to eat plants from anywhere in the world? Do I want organic or do I care? All of those aspects we need to learn about. How would I prepare spinach? I have a tree in my backyard growing called shea tree. It's from parts of Mexico. And its nickname is tree spinach. But guess what? If you eat that tree spinach like raw, it gives you a major, major upset stomach. So we have to cook it. You can make tea out of it. You can make it like a cooked spinach, right? But all those things, we need to know what to do with the plants and how people might have prepared them in the past to get the most out of it. The preparing ourselves to make a lifestyle change is the most critical part. We need to develop that support system. Are your friends and roommates gonna adopt this change with you? Are they gonna help support you? Or is somebody gonna call you up and say, how are you doing today? Are you eating well? Got your plants? Okay, all that stuff. We wanna make sure that we really get all the pieces in place before we ever start taking action. Because if we do it beforehand, we'll stop, we'll be unsuccessful. All right, once we do get ready and prepared and we take action, then we're set. We've got our motivations, we got our support group, we're making those lifestyle changes. We might falter a little bit because it is a transition and your body's gonna go, what are you doing to me? And then sometimes I can tell you personally, after consuming a lot more herbs, I know this is gonna sound weird, but I actually have a natural energy buzz when I am consuming more herbs. Like, who needs an energy drink? But then it's easy to forget and get off the bandwagon. So we have to keep pushing ourselves back on that bandwagon. Not buying the foods that we don't want to consume and only surrounding ourselves with the people and the kinds of foods that we do want to be around. Okay? And then managing it. Once we've developed that habit, 3 to 6 months, now it's just about keeping ourselves in the right frame of mind. And I'll be the first to tell you that that's more challenging than you think. But then sometimes our body is going to go, you ate that, I am revolting. And it's going to give you an upset stomach or some kind of reaction to let you know that it didn't like it. We're going to do an experiment here in a little bit to find out to actually find that out before we eat it. Okay, so your mission, should you decide to accept, is to take on the idea that true healthcare reform starts in your, well, kitchen too, but gut. Yes. So we want that to start in your gut. How are we doing on time? All right, so we got enough for our experiment and some Q&A. All right, so in kind of winding that section down, I'd like you to give your gut a life-changing experience. Literally, life-changing. Okay?
Produced by Academic Video Services within the Division of Information Technology at Florida International University.